All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Thanks for joining tonight. This is the Wingrove Street traffic calming neighborhood meeting. Appreciate you taking your time this evening to join us. We've got a small group, and this is a neighborhood that is very aware of the traffic calming. I know you in this. I guess as we'd call this WeHo or Wedgwood, Houston area, we have several traffic calming projects that have been in for a couple of years. And so we're going to do a pretty basic meeting. We'll kind of go through some of the stuff quickly and really get toward the end, which is where we show a preliminary concept. But just by way of introduction, my name is Jeff Hammond. I'm a consultant working for Nashville Department of Transportation, the NDOT, that's down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We've got our council member on the call. Councilmember Vo, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Anything you'd like to say as we get started?
No, thank you so much. I'm excited to get this underway.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Well, I hope so you can see the slides. This meeting is being recorded, and so just note that if there's a neighbor and all that you think would benefit from the information, we'll make this recording available here in a couple of days on the NDOT Traffic Calming website. And if you're joining us after the fact on the recording, thank you for taking your time to look at this as well. This is just a real quick agenda about the types of things we're going to look at. But as I said, we're gonna skip through some of the overview material of the program. I think a lot of you all are familiar with that. We go through this material in about every meeting we do. So if you would like more information about the background of the program, feel free to watch any of our other meetings as well. I will point out the data here on Wingrove Street specific to your road is shown here. We're dealing with a street that has an 85th percentile speed of 35 miles an hour. That's just a statistical way that we look at and measure the speed and kind of rank all of these streets relative to each other. It's not the highest that we've seen, but it's certainly not the lowest. This is kind of middle of the pack for the types of streets that we do traffic calming on. The volume is the same way. You've got about 2,100 cars a day. I know that sounds like a lot. That's a pretty healthy volume, but we will do traffic calming like this on streets up to about 5,000 cars a day. So we're well within the bounds of trying to treat some of the speeding issues on Wingrove. Gotcha. It's about a 21-foot wide street. I know that varies a little bit. There's been that new development built there. I think they did some nice street improvements, adding some parking there and the bulb outs that look nice. And so that figure varies a little bit. And that really only comes into play as we start thinking about a design for traffic calming. And then the street is about a quarter of a mile long. There's just a map, and this is an interactive map. You can find this on our website, on the NDOT Traffic Calming website. But just to reiterate, the project goes from Rains Avenue down to Nolensville Road.
Gotcha.
So this is the part I'll really go fast through. You are all well familiar with our speed cushions. They're right there on Rains. It's probably the closest ones to this project. And so I know many of you drive over those probably every day. We do have some other items in the program. We do have some before and after data. But I think most people just kind of understand once speed cushions go in, they are effective just because they are. It's pretty self-evident when you drive over them. Feedback signs are popular in some cases, often where we can't get a speed cushion due to grades or something like that. We will use those. We can do some pavement marking. I don't think there's any markings on Wingrove, so that could be something that we'll look at. A more advanced use of that would be at intersections with something like bulb outs. And I'll just pause here just for a second because I think this may be something that we want to look at, particularly at the intersection of Wingrove and Nolensville Road. That is a wide intersection. It's got a pretty bad skew to it. We'll see that here in just a second, but maybe a way to visually and physically narrow the throat of that Wingrove opening. There is some pedestrian activity. I don't know how much. You all could tell me, but right. I know that's often an improvement when we're dealing with areas with lots of pedestrian. Chicanes then is another one. Pretty specialized. We just don't have a lot of room for chicanes on Wingrove, and then traffic circles. likewise. It takes an awful lot of pavement, and I think fortunately Wingrove doesn't have that much room for something like this. So.
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to get to. This is the very early preliminary sketch that we put together for Wingrove. Now, one of the things that, let me just define what you're looking at here. Rains Avenue is kind of north-south to the left-hand side of the slide, and then Nolansville is down there where you see that B with a circle on it on the right-hand side of the slide. Wingrove is highlighted, and then in the middle you see that yellow bar, which just indicates that there's a hill there. We know that's a pretty good hill. That's a significant grade, and it's the type of grade that we will avoid putting speed cushions on. It's just too steep for that. So we've identified that and steered clear of it, but that still leaves, in our opinion, plenty of space if we feel like traffic speed cushions are a good fit for the street. We think we've got room to do that. And so what we have specified here is 2 sets of speed cushions, one kind of in front of that newer development and one right down at the bottom of the hill in front of that. I think it's kind of I guess a little bit up from the car repair shop, but right in that area. And then the B in the circle down there where I mentioned is where Wingrove comes off of Nolansville would be bulb outs. We haven't sketched those yet. There's probably a couple of ways we could do that, but just to try and sort of define a radius, just because of the way that the angle at which the streets intersect. You may find this, you may not, but it seems to me that as you're going into town on Nolansville and turn left onto Wingrove, you can do that at a pretty high rate of speed right now, just the way that angle lines up. So that's it. I mean, it's I don't know, it's not very complex. I mean, but it's a pretty basic traffic calming plan. And at this point in the meeting, we kind of open it up to say, does this kind of capture what you're thinking? Are there issues that we don't know about that should know about? Are you not a fan of bulb outs for one reason or the other? Just anything that you would like to comment on this to help us refine the plan a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll mention a few things just for discussion purposes. So if you look at where Wingrove hits Nolansville Road, that entire intersection down there is going to be developed by the fairgrounds. And I don't know if Councilmember Vo has specifics on that, or if there's like a spot where we can find it. I just know that they've told us that bus stop down there's been redone, but they're going to redo that whole corner on the fairgrounds side of that. And I don't know how intrusive that's going to be, if it's actually going to widen the street or add a turning lane or a sidewalk. I've heard rumors that a sidewalk's going to go from that up the hill,
That's
but
confirmed.
How far? Okay. How far, and if it'll connect to the apartments? Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, Councilmember Bo, if you have more details,
Yeah, I don't think it's going that far. I know, where that where all the cars are, that parcel is for sale right now, but we've asked him to move his cars out of the right of way, so the sidewalk will be improved. I feel like I'm almost up half a block. I was trying to get the latest renderings from the executive director from Laura. So why don't I, after our call, I'll make sure and send it over to you, Jeff, so y'all have that, because I want to make sure. That's why it was important to me, when we had this call, that the new stoplight's going to be coming, and I think it's 3. So I don't know if they're going to just stripe, where it becomes 3, or if there is going to be some widening when they do the sidewalks. They were, I think, finalizing, some things still. And so I will get the final renderings, because they are supposed to start that soon. And so my goal was that, that is finished first, and then, the traffic calming comes after, so that the street is set.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Jeff, my only thought was where that bulb out plan is. I think that's a good idea. It could be used correctly and implemented in a beneficial way, but how they have that plan. And sometimes there's plans like this, and then we got a development that's starting, and it's I hate to do something and then it just gets torn out or redone, and it's
sure. Yeah.
So yeah, either knowing that or having a plan maybe after that, or just being aware of that, I think, and working in tandem would be great at the bottom of the hill there.
Perfect. And is that being handled by NDOT, or is this a fairgrounds initiated project?
Yes, it's NDOT with the fairgrounds.
Okay. I would assume NDOT has the plans on it. I can ask. I'll be glad to try and track that down.
Yeah, we can
But,
both work on it because just to make
okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect.
Then
Yeah, that'd be really great. And I don't think that, I mean, that probably does take care of the bulb out part of it. But,
Mm-hmm.
if we're still interested in pursuing the cushions, now I would say about timing, we're still probably a year-ish away.
Okay.
And I don't know how soon
Oh,
that signal project goes in, but
Gotcha.
our goal, that's supposed to be done. I mean, I would say by the end of this year, beginning of next.
okay.
So that should be completely done
Yeah.
before, like you said, the traffic calming.
Mhm.
If you're a year out.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, so I was just gonna mention that at the bottom of the hill. And then the two speed cushions, I think the placement's good. The only thing I've noticed with others in the neighborhood is that sometimes if you put them at the top of a hill, I know you put like not warning signs, but like, like heads up signs of like speed cushions coming up.
Mhm. Right.
The one at the top of the hill, if you put it too close to that, like there's a steep grade there, I guess is what I'm saying. So if you get someone coming up over the first speed cushion going west and they get to the top of the hill, and then there's one too close,
Mhm.
sometimes it sneaks up on you and it kind of throws people off. I've seen that before. But as
Yeah.
far as the number of them and the placement, I think it's about right, pretty reasonable. We get more, I
Okay.
guess I hear people complain more about speeding at the top of the hill. Maybe it's just because more walkers residential than at the bottom. Um, but that's kind of I don't know if that top of the hill one, if you could move it a little closer to Rains, or if there's restrictions on how. I know you got
Um,
Byram there, and there's some
yeah,
alleys, so yeah.
yeah, right. It would have to go to the other side of Byram.
Oh,
And then
okay.
we would just look at, the complicating factor on these things is intersections and
Yep.
in driveways. We won't put anything right in front of someone's
Yep.
driveway.
Understand.
Um, Now we can put it, what I've tried to do is line it up with one of those little grass bulb out areas in front of that.
Mhm.
Because that's on street parking, it's possible we could scoot it back a little bit closer to Byram.
Mhm.
But it would just sort of be out beside the on-street parking. I don't think that's the end of the world, but I'd
Gotcha.
rather have it lined up where there's not parking. But
Yeah. No, I get what you're
in any
saying.
event, but I certainly can take a look at that when we're out in the field. We'll pay attention to that where that grade stops, and make sure
Cool.
as a car tops the hill that they would have enough
Yep.
sight distance to see that. So that's a good point.
Now that I look at it too, I mean the main elevation of the hill kind of goes to where the apartments start. So like you are
That's right.
kind of set back. I was looking at the yellow, which kind of drifts into that area a little bit, which I get, but
Yeah.
like yeah, maybe it's not too bad where it is. But anyway, that's something I was going to mention to think about maybe. So
Yeah.
and then the last thing I was going to mention was, and this probably isn't relevant to this call, but like where Wingrove hits Rains and then Southgate hits Rains, we've had people I've heard people talk about that intersection and how it's kind of a four-way stop. It's not a four-way stop. There's like a crosswalk to nowhere across
Mm.
Rains, and it's like people have said before, like the more traffic we get on soccer and like fairground stuff, mainly just soccer, but yeah, like if there's a bigger plan, and I don't obviously the rental units there on the corner of Rains and Wingrove. I don't know if there's any plan in the future to redevelop that. Everything's getting redeveloped, so probably eventually. But like,
Yeah.
and like, I don't know what the correct way to address that is. If there's safer ways to do like a roundabout there with a couple exits. And again, I don't expect this maybe out of this, but like we've heard people talk about that weird intersection and when there's heavy traffic and things get backed up. And I don't know if there's any type of if the right of way would accommodate it, but like future thinking on what might be done to make that intersection a little safer given the awkwardness of it.
Mm-hmm.
So just saying that out loud at the moment. I don't know if it's necessary at the moment, but just to put it on there, put it out there.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely see the issues. It's a pretty close offset intersection. Could be a little confusing in terms of sometimes those crosswalk markings give the idea that it's an always stop when
Yep.
it's not. So I could definitely see that.
Yep. And we have people who they want to cross Rains and they get to that corner of Rains and Southgate, and they're like, wait, do I cross it here and then walk in that yard, or should I go the other way and then try and like run across where there's not stripes? Yeah, it's just like kind of a, and then you get new people who haven't been in the neighborhood ever before, and then you get new people driving that walking and driving, and it's like we haven't had any accidents, thankfully, but it's like you can tell people get like kind of awkward, and they're like, "What is going on here?" So anyway,
I'm trying to remember that right south of Southgate. Is that the Channel 8 property or the
yes,
school? It's Channel 8 first, and then the school is down
yep,
further down.
yeah,
Right.
correct,
Okay.
yep.
So you do have some school kids, but there's really not. Well, I guess there's a sidewalk down Range down that
Yep.
side. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and on game days, my good. I live
Oh, bad.
basically under that legend, like right under that,
Mhm.
probably where that stop sign is in the legend. But anyway, yeah, we get waves of people, and they're all on that west side of Rains, just going straight down, and they all cross Rains to get to that sidewalk, and then they funnel right down that hill because there is no sidewalk on the east side of
But they
Rains.
park. They're parking in yards and then
Yep.
walking across Range, right? Yeah.
Yeah, those Rains and Southgate rentals between Rains and Byram there. Like I want to talk to. I've never asked the neighbors, but like I don't pry, but it's like they park enough cars in there. Like I want to know a number of how much money they make off that, and like because I'd probably be like, oh man,
Maybe the parking can fund some sidewalk expansion. Or something.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, I mean, I never knock anyone for trying to make a little extra and do it, but it's gotten to like a big business over there. So yeah, they take advantage of it. It's good for them. But yeah, it gets really busy. Basically, Wingrove down. Like we don't get a ton of parking on Rains because we did some like no parking stuff, and Councilmember Beau helped us for like specific restrictions on game days to help with congestion and issues that arise with that, which we're grateful for. But like yards and like properties in general, like everything in this neighborhood just gets flooded on game days. So I always kind of look at that scenario when I think of like what the worst case scenario is or the most impactful times.
So back to the signal. I mean, so the fairgrounds is going to signalize that intersection.
Yep.
Is that? I mean, are they doing any other improvements like a driveway, anything to that, or are they just doing that just because it's a traffic issue? They feel like.
I've heard, Councilmember Beau, I don't know if you know more info, but technically their address is on Wingrove. If you look up the fairgrounds, it's like 401 Wingrove is their entrance. They just always use the Rains Wedgwood as like their entrance. So I did think that there was something where like they are going to put a more formal access on Wingrove.
That's I'm not trying to pry. I'm just trying to understand as it might affect this project.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the impetus behind that? Is there a driveway or something? Is something changing? In other words,
yeah,
that would precipitate that signal. I just don't know.
Awesome.
But I'll try to dig into that and find out and just make sure we have the complete picture about what improvements are happening there. You know, as it might affect any of them.
Yep. Yeah, and also
because whenever they showed me, I didn't. I'm trying to think if I remember that or not.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There's going to be an entrance because I think they've been trying to feed obviously everyone right now off of Wedgwood.
Yep.
Because they've closed the Nolensville entrance.
Gotcha. Yeah, and we have a snap like Wedgwood Houston sign at that intersection down there, and they've told us like they're removing it. So I know they're doing something to widen.
Jenny at the bar.
So yeah, they're doing something bigger down there.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, those are just my thoughts on this at the moment.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful feedback. And as you know, as you talk to other people in the neighborhood or especially residents on the street, feel free to direct them to us or to the Engage site. I'll share a link to that in just a second. I do want to, before we go, just kind of show the next steps for this. We're at the red circle there, the neighborhood meeting, and we'll go back and we'll refine this a little bit. We'll find those plans, make sure we have the complete picture. Thank you so much for sharing that information. And then we'll decide if we want to get back together, if we want to refine this to the point of doing that, or if the neighborhood just feels like we're ready to just go ahead and move forward with the balloting process. We'll kind of work with our council member and kind of work that out, but happy to schedule another meeting if we think that's in order. But I do like to show this too because it lays out a little bit of that time frame, and so you see that bigger construction delay once the balloting is done. We're probably at an 8 to 10 month queue just on that part. So just to set everybody's expectation that there's not going to be speed cushions out here by the time school starts or anything like that. It's a ways
Right.
in the distance.
Gotcha. Good to know.
We do have a balloting process. You may be familiar with that. We'll send cards out. It is limited to the people that own property within the limits of the program. I didn't highlight these properties down here closer to Nolensville because businesses are not applicable to that. So and neither are undeveloped properties. So this is a residential program, so we will just ask the residents. And then this is that information. My contact information is on here, as well as NDOT's traffic calming folks. And then that little QR code there, we're moving towards really a clearinghouse page called Engage Nashville. It's pretty slick. It's a place where NDOT and maybe other departments are kind of housing all of the project web pages that allow some feedback. So there's maps and places you can leave us comments and contact, and also that's that information. I hope that was quick enough, but still provided the information. Thank you all for joining. Anything else as we wrap up here?
I have a couple quick questions. As far as voting goes, is it property owner or property tenant, resident?
It is property owner.
Okay.
Property owner. And as we mentioned, we do know that this it appears that this street has a fairly high renter population. So we'll keep that in mind.
Gotcha.
Well. Yeah, these meeting notices and the ballots will go to the property owners.
Got it. Cool. Sounds good. And then my next question might be unrelated, but it's kind of related. So if I know the benefit of the speed cushions in the last meeting too was how they could be removed, or like if we have construction, you can pick them up and then do your stuff and then put them back down. Like they're not as permanent, I guess, which sounded bad, but it also I see the benefit of it. There was another speed cushion neighborhood that was taken up and work was done, but they never put it back. Is there a follow-up process we should do if we do, like if we put these in and then Fairgrounds is still working and they take them up? Like, is there a way that we can like follow up on stuff like that?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one at Southgate and Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already told NDOT. So there's like a whole backlog of speed cushions. And so they're waiting. The orders is in place, but we don't have any apparently right now. So they're waiting for those to come in.
They took
but
the
they are
ones
very
up and
aware
tossed
that
them?
That's what I don't understand, right? Like, yeah.
I'm like,
they were removed to do the improvement. So where are they?
That's strange. Okay.
Yes. But I have asked literally 3 times because a lot of people have asked me about that. So it is it is like on my radar, and we're waiting for that.
Cool. Yeah, no, I don't want to say I'm surprised that there's a huge process to fix it. I just didn't know if it was something residents can do on their own, but it sounds like, Councilmember Bo's doing it. So thank you for that. Yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah, and to answer the question, no, they do not need to be reballoted. I mean, unless it's something very strange has happened that I'm not aware of. But my guess is, and I don't know the nature of the construction or whatever happened, but there's a good chance that it was done by a private contractor, on behalf of the property. So they cut utility lines all the time and have to fix it and all that kind of stuff. So it's very possible an independent contractor did it, took them up, he got them somewhere, and NDOT just has to work to get them back or something. Crazy things happen, but I don't know that. I don't think it was anything from the city, saying we're going to go take these up for some reason.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then Councilmember Bo, if you need anything from us, if there needs to be a request by a resident or anything, just let me know. But yeah, that's the one I was thinking about as well. So anyway. Cool. Good information.
Yes, it's been on my mind. No problem. No, but thank you for this. I think we can share out the recording, and then if it's necessary for us to have a follow-up, we can.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds great. Well, thanks y'all. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your evening. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.